What's up, party people? This is Tarkus Jude Mossberg here from Facebook, and we're going to talk about media mail. Such a great hot topic that everybody wants to throw fire and spit and brimstone on social media when you're trying to talk about media mail and comic books. Tarkus Jude Mossberg on Facebook, Jude's Junk Facebook comic book shop and YouTube channel. Also have all the social medias. I have website judesjunk.com. I sell a good amount of comic books, mostly graded 9.8s. Been doing it for 6 years now. Almost full time, it feels like. Even though it's a hobby, it takes up more time than my other jobs, my other businesses. But in the world of comic books, whether you're a full-fledged dealer, that's how you pay rent, whether you're a collector that deals to increase your collection, whether you're just trying to get rid of stuff, it doesn't matter. If you're involved in shipping books, the issue comes up, how do you reduce costs? There's so many costs involved in the comic book community. It really upsets me. Back in the day, in the 80s, we would trade face-to-face with comic collectors. Now, there might only be one other collector in the neighborhood, but you traded face-to-face, and there was nobody else trying to take a piece of your fun. Nowadays, you got PayPal goods and services fees. You got auction houses taking their piece. You got shipping fees. And you say it's cost of business. Of course it's a cost of business. But as a business owner, your focus is to reduce costs. For every dollar you save in costs, that's a dollar straight to profit. For every dollar of sales, it's not a dollar straight to profit. For every dollar of sales, if you're lucky, you made 20 cents profit. So most businesses will, at least starting in the 90s, they really focused on reducing cost. If I save $1 million in costs, that's $1 million profit. If I have $1 million in sales, that's not $1 million in profit. $1 million in sales, if I'm lucky, is 200,000. So decreasing costs needs to be a big component if you're going to buy and sell. And a lot of people are silly with this. They walk into their post office. They don't have any materials. They make them use their boxes. They make them use their tape, their packages. And I'll get a box of books and it'll say $35 on them. I'm like, you shipped those for $35, dude. I only paid $60 for them. What are you doing? I know, but okay. Unless you like giving away money, you got to get a handle on packing supplies. You got to get a handle on shipping, on invoicing, cost of your tools, your online tools. What tools are you going to have? Well, I can't afford GPA. If you're buying and selling big books, you cannot afford not to have GPA. Go collect and cover price. You will lose more in one transaction than a GPA will cost all year. And I've talked about that ad nauseum on my YouTube channel. So reducing costs is big. So we get down to shipping. How do you reduce costs of shipping? Shipping prices are going up. Automatic Comics just came out with a video yesterday. They're going up again. They just came out a month ago. They're going to go up again. And he is charging, I think he's going to be charging $8.50 to sell one mailer. You know those cardboard mailers for raw books? $8.50 for one of those. And it was either going from $7.50 to $8.50, and he's thinking about charging more. And then people will want to say, well, I'm going to charge you for the mailer. I'm going to charge you for the cardboard box, and before you know it, you're paying $10-15 to mail 3 raws. Clients aren't going to tolerate that. I can mail a raw for $5. And if I have to eat a bit of the cost, no big deal. How do I do it? Media mail. Yes, media mail. And therein lies the 4-letter word that everybody gets all hot and bothered by. They'll say it's illegal. Okay, they're wrong. They'll start to try to point out the rules. And everybody's really adept at the rules. Okay, when you come to a stop sign, you're supposed to have a full stop. If you don't have a full stop and you roll through, you broke the law. And if you get caught. If you don't get caught, it doesn't matter. We roll through stop signs. Every one of us all day probably aren't paying attention, and we don't come to a full stop. And if there was a cop on this corner, we're getting an expensive ticket. It impacts our insurance prices, and we might have to go to a class to get it removed. Pain in the butt if we get caught. Media mail could be considered the same thing. You take your chance. All right, let's assume for a second that your post office says it's not okay. My post office has already told me it's fine for comics. And I'll get into that in a minute. But other post offices in different areas might have different people working there, and that might interpret the rules differently. I guarantee you these aren't experts in people interpreting and understanding their own policies. I've gone in there and tried to talk to them about their policies. They're like, I don't know, you got to call corporate. And specifically, it had to do with shipping and what, if my book was sent to CGC and there wasn't a commercial invoice, would it still be covered? The guy at my post office couldn't answer that. Pirate Ship says it's not covered. So if you're wasting money on paying for insurance shipping to CGC, you're wasting your money. Pirate Ship will not cover it. Now, insurance inside USPS might cover it, but look at the fine print. Do they require a commercial invoice? Pirate Ship does. Anyways, going back to shipping, I've been doing this 5 years. I don't really sell raws anymore, but I did a lot of raws. And I ship really well. And Automatic Comics just said, no one can do it for $5. If they do, they're not shipping it safe and secure. I guarantee you, never one of my books have gotten squished. Every single one is safe and secure. There is nothing to suggest Media Mail is not safe and secure. And I will make the argument that Media Mail is safer and more secure than Priority. This has been proven throughout history. When that diamond was shipped over from Europe in the 1920s, the most expensive diamond in the world, it went regular post. It was less likely to be stolen in regular post than if it had some kind of special package and protection and markings on the outside. Media Mail, people don't steal. People steal Priority. You go in to get a Priority box at every book that I've had that's come damaged, Priority. They're shipping really fast. They're throwing boxes around. They're moving them quick. You use the Priority boxes at USPS, the really, really thin ones. And if you're not smart and double box them, which is just a waste of their resources, because now there's those people who just live off of the USPS materials, and things don't get packaged well because those boxes aren't great for packaging slab books. Now, sure, you can you do what Lost Boy does, and you can put the noodles around the edges and maybe double box it as well as the noodles. And, the problem is those boxes are thin. I use thicker boxes to send my slabs. In fact, I have found a way I can ship a slab for $5. Full cost. So, Media Mail. You can't do it. You shouldn't do it. It's unethical, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's all BS. I've seen all the conversations online. A lot of people don't know what they're talking about. Sure, your postal office might have told you you can't do it, and that's because they interpret it this way or that way. Never once had a shipment returned to me. I'm doing $500,000 of sales a year. Done a lot of raws, a lot of Media Mail. Never once had one lost. Never once had one damaged. There's a way to pack them very, very nice. So those who say that Media Mail is handled worse, Media Mail is all these thin little packages, just little thin packages of paper. That's all a comic book is, thin packages of paper. They're just thin. They're not big boxes that get crunched in these machines because the boxes are so big. So there's less damage with Media Mail. You can package inside and if we're talking about raws, you package it well inside the mailer. That's all it is. And then I put tape around the outside to hold the corners down and eliminate dust getting inside. But the mailer and Media Mail, it's fine. My post office knows about it. When you're talking about advertisements, my interpretation is current people are advertising. If you're selling a 1920s book with an advertisement from Ford, that's not what they're trying to avoid. That's not an advertisement that can get real generated dollars. That's a historical advertisement. And I've seen this come up in other situations where old advertisements don't count. It's the new advertisements where they're trying to advertise to you today to buy something. Something that was advertised in the 80s and 90s is not a real advertisement. That's not something I can get online, make a call, and buy that today. So that is not considered the advertisements that they're talking about. They're talking about advertisements where I could look in there and buy something today. Okay. And you could argue that. Fine. I could go argue that as soon as I go before the judge. I'm never going to go before the judge for media mail. So whatever, get over it. I will tell you, I've been kicked out of a group before because on a $25 trade, this little guy complained to one of the admins that I sent media mail, and they booted me. Hey, every group can have whatever rules they want, but that is just silly. And now I have great books, and the people on that large group don't get a chance to buy those books because they have these silly rules. A lot of groups have silly rules. I'm in some groups where I'm the admin, and sometimes I wonder if my rules are silly. Who has time to worry about the minutiae of the rules when you're doing admins in a lot of these groups? We just don't worry about it too much. Maybe some people really do. Some people get really wrapped around the rules. And I could get into a whole story about those that are real wrapped around the rules. So my post office could say, yeah, you can send that 1980 comic book fine. Those ads are old. Your post office might not like it. So if it gets returned to me, big deal, I eat the cost. If they open it up and damage it, big deal, I eat the cost. You could say, yeah, but if you ship it and they upcharge me, then the buyer gets charged the difference. No, it doesn't. I insure it. If they upcharge the shipping, I have to pay it. But I don't trust you to pay it. Well, that's a different thing. Okay, I get that. If you're buying from someone you don't know, and they ship media mail, and they try to pass on the cost to you, then you could get burned if that seller doesn't pay that difference. Well, I self-insure all books. So when I say self-insure, I didn't used to have a corporate insurance policy. I don't buy insurance through UPS or Pirate Ship anymore. I pay $3,000 a year for a corporate insurance policy, and I have to insure my books to get to you. Previously, I did self-insure. Now, sometimes the larger books over $300-$400, I did do the insurance just because I was scared. I didn't want to self-insure those bigger books. But now, I don't buy insurance through USPS, so because I already have a corporate plan. And you, the buyer, might think, well, no, I want you to buy insurance through USPS because then I have the ability to go get the refund. Yeah, but you don't worry about all that. I worry about that. The seller worries about that. If I'm shipping it and it gets damaged, I'm the one that has to do it. No, again, if I'm going to rip you off and I'm going to pack it poorly and it's going to get damaged, maybe you could get on the phone with and try to get a refund from USPS for the cost of your book, but you shouldn't have to get involved in that. So it gets back into that trust. Yes, I could take advantage of you if I shipped it and didn't insure my books or didn't cover them or didn't make you whole or whatever the case may be. But I insure them, I cover you, and no one's ever complained that I haven't covered you. One guy complained that I didn't ship media mail, but that's not the same as didn't make you whole. Never. I've had one book lost, and that was a book to Canada, and it probably had to do because there was a shipping route. You mailed to a U.S. address, and then they have to turn around and ship it over the border. It was a $50 book. It got lost. I refunded the guy's money. No big deal. Only time, and I think it was priority too. So media mail, and I just did a video and I got cut off halfway through it, so I don't know what I've already repeated. I did talk about the advertisements. When it's a slab book, a modern book, you can't get in the slab and see that. It's encased. There's no ads that you and I can see. That's my argument. There are no ads. It's a bunch of paper inside of plastic, and you can't see the advertisement, so you can't make that argument that there's ads in it. Well, we know they're in there. Okay, the whole point of them making the rule is because people can see the ads and buy stuff because they didn't want catalogs shipped out. Now, who does catalogs anymore? This is old school. They didn't want catalogs shipped out at this cheaper route because you're a business trying to raise money so that you can sell stuff. So that's why they said, okay, if it's advertisements, we're not going to count it as media mail. Nobody does really catalogs anymore, do they? And you can't look inside the comic book and buy something on the ads. So I'm going to say a slab book has no ads. A book from the 80s and 90s, those ads are obsolete. They don't count. So I'm perfectly fine with media. I can have this conversation with my UPS. I ship, like I said, $250,000 a year in books. They all go through the post office. They all see the medium mail. It's a small town post office. That might matter. No one's ever complained, and it's all paper. I send everything to CGC Media Mail. I send everything to CGC Media Mail. Never once did CGC or the post office that collects for CGC ever make a stink about it. And they get tons of comic books. So the post office, or wherever you sell it to, either it used to be a post office address or it is now, and then it changed, but their address changed. I send everything to CGC Media Mail. If you want to pay more out of conscience, go for it. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing media mail for comic books. I don't really sell modern RAWs that have modern advertisements in it, so it's a moot point. If you want to negotiate shipping, you got to do that in advance. Just like shipping anything, anywhere, the buyer and seller have to come to agreements, otherwise it's standard. What is standard? Well, it should be in the fine print somewhere, or it needs to be discussed. I always say I do the slowest shipping unless you and I negotiate something better. Now, what does slowest shipping mean? I don't know. That could mean anything. Things change, there could be a corporate policy. It used to be that my comic shop shipped with their corporate policy. It was like $7.50 to ship one slab. And it was actually in a big box, and then it was in the small box inside the big box. I bought a lot through my comic book shop when the prices were dropping over the last 4 years. So I have a ton of these protective books from my comic shop. See the split down the middle. What's really cool about them is they have the protective ends that protect the corners. See those ends, how they're thick like that? So that if it squishes, it protects the corner. So they ship it in those, and then they put that inside a cardboard box. I have actually found I can ship a whole slab in this. It's better than the Gemini. Some people ship a slab in the Geminis, or I guess they're bigger Geminis. I have hundreds of these, and I've had to burn a lot because I've had too many taking up too much room. But I ship a slab in this. Now you have to reinforce it. If you do it in the package, you'll notice that they put cardboard on the top of this because it's a weak point. So if anybody presses, it cracks the book. So what you do is you tape a piece of cardboard to both sides. So I have all these cut up boxes designed just to put right there. And I tape it, and it adds a little bit of weight, but big deal, you're doing medium mail. And I tape it on that side, and I tape it on that side, and it secures it, so nothing's squishing it from this side. The corners are protected, and I ship a slab for $5. Done. You need to learn how to lower your cost of shipping. So many people try to pay too much for shipping when I'm buying and pass it on to me, and that makes me furious. You're either lazy or ignorant if you're going to charge $25 to ship 2 slabs. I don't care. I don't care who you are. Collectors Comics. I got a bunch of slabs from them, and they charge a lot. And I had to try to send them an email, and they're like, well, this is what they charge us. Okay. I don't care what they charge you. Figure it out. Figure out a cheaper way to do it. And if you can't figure it out, then that's going to affect me, the buyer, in where I buy from. If you're charging $30 to ship 2 slabs, it's highway robbery. Again, lazy or ignorant. Is it possible you're being forced to because overall your corporate policy with this shipper versus that shipper is better? You're paying more because they come to your warehouse to pick up the books versus you carrying them in. Hey, that's fine. If you're going to go with your overall cheapest option as a business, and it is going to increase my cost, then as a buyer, we would just stop buying from you. But we're going to calculate that into the cost, just like we calculate buyer's premiums. I know my comic shop has gone from $7.50 up to $10 to ship 1 slab. Okay, other places do 15. Then you see the people that do 2025. It's like, where are you coming up with this? Well, I got to ship it priority, and I got to ship it insured, and I got to use their boxes. Okay, as buyers, we only care about the final cost. Some people are not very bright and they go, well, I only care about what the comic book costs, and whatever you charge me for shipping and extra is extra. That's not really how most buyers look at these books. If we're going to go on Heritage, we're adding up the buyer's premium, we're adding up taxes and shipping, we're adding it all up. The total cost is the total cost of the book. And in fact, if you have to do taxes, you have to do that total cost of the book, because whatever you sell it for, minus the total cost of the book, is the profit that you pay taxes on. And you have to calculate, keep track of all of that so you know what you're paying taxes on. So media mail is what I use. I have the cheapest costs out there. People don't like that I do it because they think I have an advantage of them. You can do it too. But my post office said this, or that. I don't know what to tell you. My post office says it's fine. If your post office says it's not fine, then you're out of luck. But just because your post office says it's not fine and mine says it is fine, doesn't mean you're right. It just means you have difficult postal people. They interpret it one way. Maybe you could use a different post office. Again, shipping and receiving might be different. Again, if you ship it media mail and they open it up and damage it, if I'm selling the book, I'm going to insure it. You're going to get your money back. If they damage it, I'm going to insure it. You're going to get your money back. Is it going to take longer? Yes. That's why my shipping is cheaper. It'll take longer. A lot of people say, hey, can I get it in a week? Sure. It's going to cost you an extra $10 because now it goes from 5 to 15. And in fact, Advantage, which is not priority, that might actually be $8 to $9. So in order for my shipping to kick in, I have to have a signature required on everything. So in fact, my shipping costs are now more because I don't really insure anything under 200. I'm sorry, I don't really require signature on anything under 200 because it's small enough I can self-insure. So over 200, I get the signature and then my insurance will kick in. If I don't ask for a signature on delivery, then my insurance won't cover it. So anything under 200, I don't require. I just self-insure. Anything over 200, I ask for a signature. Anyways, if this is helpful to someone, great. If it's not, feel free to complain. It gives me more views. Everybody is going to have to figure out a way to cut costs. And I think more and more people do this and don't talk about it because of all the media mail police on Facebook that are ridiculous and yelling out rules when they don't really know what they're talking about. Happy hunting, guys.